Hello everyone, welcome to the Green Man channel. Now, as a metalhead, and if you're a metalhead as well, I'm sure at some point in your life or as a metal fan, you've experienced comments or some forms of judgment for being into said music of metal. And unfortunately, I have had experiences myself where I've had comments, um, or people making comments in passing conversation, which aren't really kind of necessarily offensive as such, or would necessarily trigger me, but they just kind of make me go, oh god, that comment again, or that stereotype, or I have to hear this every time I say I enjoy heavy metal. If it's in with family or friends, or if it's just with strangers, you socializing on a night out drinking or whatever it is, and you put up with these kind of comments or judgments, generalizations that are made or associated with a love of metal. Now, one of the comments which I get sometimes, which really kind of does trigger me a bit, I've got to admit, is haven't you grown out of that yet? Haven't you grown out of metal? And there's just something about that really does make my blood boil. It really makes my blood boil. I think metal is sort of also very diverse and crosses over with a lot of other music genres, and out of all the genres I can think of, it does that a lot. That's why we've got all these myriads of subgenres, hundreds of subgenres in metal. And I think there's a very mature approach that all metal musicians take to their music. They really think it through. Really, musicianship is outstanding. It takes a huge amount of skill and effort and talent to come up with, whether it's the drumming techniques that you're doing, guitar techniques, songwriting. If you're a vocalist, it's writing the lyrics. It's the same applies to other music as well. There's just something a bit unfair about saying, haven't you grown out of metal yet? Now, after this video, I'm going to get people saying that. But anyway, it's just something I hear a bit too much for my liking, and I don't think it's fair on metal as music to just associate it with teenagers or children, because metal is so much more than that. It's so much more. Another one I get is that also, if you're into metal, you're not into anything else, right? Or you're just into violent stuff and noisy stuff, and you don't listen to anything else, which of me is totally untrue, because I really enjoy a lot of melancholic music, a lot of classical music, a lot of melodic music, folk music, shoegaze music, bit of soul now and then, bit of swing even, this, that, and the other, 80s pop, 90s pop, perhaps, even occasionally the odd pop music artist comes up I don't mind these days, and there's so much I enjoy. Obviously, I'm pretty heavy on prog. I love prog, and have done for a number of years, since that influences my taste in metal somewhat, because I like a lot of prog metal. So, yeah, I am into lots of things, not just metal, because I like metal. There's another one which is I must be into weird stuff. And I guess if you're open-minded to really sort of interesting, dynamic, complex metal music, you might be into other stuff which requires more of an open mind. But the whole thing with the satanic cult being associated with metal, I think that's kind of old now. I don't get that as much, to be honest, so I don't really get that judgment too much, to be fair. Of all the ones on my little list here, it's not one I get as much. One I have got though a lot, particularly growing up, particularly my late teens, early 20s, I got this a hell of a lot, which is, aren't you going to get any tattoos and piercings because you like metal? And I did see the appeal of that at times. I have had one or two temptations to get a tattoo, but I've just never known exactly what kind of a tattoo I would want, that I'd want to stay there for a long time as well, because if you get a tattoo, it's often permanent, unless you get one of those temporary ones, can't remember what you call them. Piercings aren't really for me personally, but I have no problem with other people liking all that stuff, as long as they don't kind of peer pressure you into trying to do all that yourself, and then sort of outcasting you if you haven't got tattoos and piercings. I think that's incredibly unfair and just harsh, to outcast someone because they don't have tattoos and piercings and they're into metal. If you're one of those people that do that, just we don't need that. We just don't need that. You don't need to peer pressure someone into dressing a certain way because they're into a certain type of music. for me, it's very wrong. But anyway, I suppose it could be a cultural thing sometimes, but for me, you just let people do more or less what they want when it comes to music and style, and not try and pigeonhole them too much into doing something that they don't really want to do. And that's what I'm talking about here. You should still let somebody have their own individual wishes, even if they're into a certain kind of music. I think I'm actually getting to the end of my list now. So you can't have grown out, or you haven't grown out of metal yet, being the first one. Can't be into anything else. You must be into some weird stuff. Why no tassets and piercings? The other one is just noise. I think people that say metal is just noise, often the people that haven't really given it much of a chance, or just think of the archetypal, stereotypical, heavy metal bands that began in metal, right? Or they just haven't given metal the time of day, really. So they just think of a few anthems. Another thing that actually comes up quite often is people that think they know heavy metal just know a few songs. The ones that come up at weddings, the ones I'm talking about. The Bon Jovi's "Living on a Prayer," which arguably isn't really kind of very metal anyway. It's kind of glamish, glam rock stuff. All those kind of things. People that sort of just think, oh, Teen Spirit, Nirvana, there you go, that's heavy metal, isn't it? All that kind of stuff, where it's just people quoting really, popular songs, I suppose. I mean, I guess I don't mind that one too much either when people are making an effort, in conversation. It's important not to be too gatekeeperish, because you want to get other people, interested in metal if you can, but not to force them. You want to not be too gatekeeperish. If there's a chance to get someone who's new to it into it, you want to introduce them maybe some more accessible stuff at first anyway. So those kind of comments are okay, I guess. It's just when people just say that's all it is, and they just stay in their happy places. That's all it is. It's like, no, there's much more to metal than that. There is. Anyway, that's the end of this video. It's kind of a funnish type of rant, but I'm sorry if you are somebody that has kind of had almost this kind of musical discrimination in life a lot, particularly if you maybe have even been bullied. I wouldn't say I've experienced a lot of bullying about it, but I've had people kind of get a bit sort of strange and gossipy and go off me a bit because of it, and it's just not really right, is it? I've made friends with huge numbers of people that are into all sorts of music. I'm certainly not one of those people that if you're not into metal, that's it. I music shouldn't dictate those kind of social things, I think, too much. But inevitably, judgments always do happen. They do always happen. Anyway, take care, everyone. Hope you found the video at least mildly interesting, or maybe relatable, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.